You've heard it all. Toyota hybrids never break. They're the safest bet you can buy. The batteries will bankrupt you. They're just Priuses for people who hate driving. Thing is, Toyota hybrids are both better and worse than most people realize. If you're thinking about buying one, new or used, and you're picturing either a miracle car or a ticking time bomb, you're missing how they really work. And that's where people end up either overpaying or walking away from an actually great deal. I'm GearHead. I'm not here to worship Toyota, and I'm not here to hate on them. I'm here to break down how the system really works, mechanically and financially, so you can stop guessing. If you want to understand cars before you spend thousands on them, hit subscribe, because this is the kind of stuff that saves you money long before you even see a workshop. Let's answer the biggest questions people have about Toyota hybrids, honestly. Are Toyota hybrids actually reliable, or is it just hype? Short answer, yes, if you're talking about the hybrid system itself on most models, but that doesn't mean the entire car is indestructible. Toyota has been doing hybrids for over 25 years now. The Prius came out in the late 90s. That's an absurd amount of real-world data. Here's the key. Toyota didn't treat hybrids like a science experiment. They treated them like something taxis and families would beat on for 10, 15 years. What they did right? The hybrid transaxle is insanely robust. There's no traditional clutch packs or bands. It's mostly a planetary gear set and electric motors. Very few internal failures when maintained. The battery and motor controls are conservative. They don't let the battery charge or discharge fully. They keep it in a middle happy zone, which dramatically extends life. Cooling fans and ducting are taken seriously. There are dedicated cooling paths for the inverter, the battery, and the engine. Keeping temps under control is huge for electric and electronic longevity. That's why you see Prius taxis with 300,000 to 500,000 kilometers on original hybrid components. Brutal truth though, Toyota hybrid is not a magic force field. It doesn't mean the suspension can't wear out, the engine can't burn oil if abused, rust can't eat the body, the inverter can never fail, or that you can ignore maintenance forever. It means their hybrid technology is among the best proven in the world. The rest of the car still obeys physics. How long do Toyota hybrid batteries really last? This is the question everyone cares about. The horror story version is every hybrid battery dies at 100,000 miles and costs $5,000 to replace. Reality is different. Most Toyota full hybrids use either nickel metal hydride packs on older models or lithium-ion packs on newer versions. What's important is how they're used. Toyota doesn't let them fully charge or fully discharge. The usable window is narrow to protect the chemistry. Cooling fans and ducting keep them at reasonable temperatures. The control software is conservative. They don't chase maximum performance at the cost of battery life. The real-world result? Plenty of original Prius and Camry hybrid packs last 10 to 15 years or 200 to 300,000 miles before needing serious attention. Some fail earlier, some go longer, but failure at 80,000 to 100,000 is the exception, not the rule, on well-looked-after cars. The brutal truth? First, batteries do age. They don't last forever. Capacity drops over time. The car might still run, but electric assist becomes weaker, the engine runs more often, and fuel economy dips. Second, heat and abuse kill them faster. If the car lives in a baking hot climate, rarely gets its battery fan intake cleaned, and spends its life idling with AC blasting, the pack will age quicker. Third, you're not stuck with only a $5,000 dealer pack. In many countries, you can get a new OEM pack, a rebuilt pack, or replace individual modules. Prices vary, but for popular models, you often see full replacements in the $1,500 to $3,000 range at independent hybrid specialists, not the internet's favorite $7,000 nightmare number. So no, the battery is not a guaranteed financial nuke at 100,000 miles. But yes, if you keep the car long enough, you should mentally budget that one day the battery will need help, just like a transmission or timing chain on a normal car. What about the engine? Is it different from a normal Toyota? Yes, and that's actually one of the reasons hybrids last so long when used properly. Toyota hybrid engines are tuned differently. Many run on an Atkinson cycle-like strategy, which sacrifices some peak power for efficiency. The electric motors help fill in the low RPM torque the Atkinson cycle gives up, so it doesn't feel painfully slow. The engine doesn't run all the time. In city driving, it cycles on and off. This has upsides and downsides. The upsides: in gentle driving, the engine lives an easier life. Less time at high RPM, less time idling, less wasted heat. Many hybrids also avoid traditional alternators and starters. The electric motor starts the engine, which is smoother and more durable. The downsides: tons of short on-off cycles in cold climates can mean more condensation and potential for moisture in the oil if you only do super short trips and never let it warm up. If you abuse the car, the hybrid drivetrain won't magically save you from damage. The brutal truth: the hybrid engine is not immortal, but in normal use it's often under less stress than a regular gas engine doing the same job. That's part of why high-mileage Toyota hybrids can still feel surprisingly tight. Are Toyota hybrids more expensive to maintain? Day-to-day, surprisingly often no.
Some things are actually cheaper. Brakes, for example. Regenerative braking does a lot of the work, so pads and rotors can last insanely long. The e-CVT hybrid transaxles have also proven extremely durable. And since starters and alternators are effectively built into the hybrid system, there are fewer separate mechanical failure points there. Where it can get expensive: inverters and power electronics. This is rare, but if an inverter fails out of warranty, it's not cheap. Same with the hybrid cooling systems. If they fail and get ignored, they can cook expensive parts. And people often forget to clean the battery fan and ducts. If the battery can't stay cool, its life shortens. The brutal truth: if you treat a Toyota hybrid like just an appliance and never service what Toyota actually calls for, you're rolling the dice. But compared to many complicated modern gas engines, a Toyota hybrid is not automatically more expensive to maintain. In a lot of cases, it's the opposite. Is buying a high-mileage Toyota hybrid a bad idea? This is where everyone panics, and where you can actually find some incredible deals if you know what you're looking at. On a normal car, 150,000 miles can be scary. On a Toyota hybrid, it depends on three things: service history, battery behavior, and its use case. You want to see a history of regular oil and coolant changes. You need to check if the battery gauge swings wildly or if there are any warning lights. And consider how it was used. A high-mileage highway car is often great. A low-mileage car used only for short trips in a hot climate can actually be worse for the battery. The brutal truth: a 180,000-mile Prius with full records and no hybrid warnings is often less of a risk than a 90,000-mile German luxury car with no records. But if you buy a high-mileage hybrid and plan to never spend money on it, eventually reality will catch up. You have to assume that at some point, the battery or another component might need attention. The question is whether the purchase price plus expected future repairs still makes sense. Often, it does. Is buying a high-mileage Toyota hybrid a bad idea? This is where everyone panics, and where you can actually find some incredible deals if you know what you're looking at. On a normal car, 150,000 miles can be scary. On a Toyota hybrid, it depends on three things: service history, battery behavior, and its use case. You want to see a history of regular oil and coolant changes. You need to check if the battery gauge swings wildly or if there are any warning lights. And consider how it was used. A high-mileage highway car is often great. A low-mileage car used only for short trips in a hot climate can actually be worse for the battery. The brutal truth: a 180,000-mile Prius with full records and no hybrid warnings is often less of a risk than a 90,000-mile German luxury car with no records. But if you buy a high-mileage hybrid and plan to never spend money on it, eventually reality will catch up. You have to assume that at some point, the battery or another component might need attention. The question is whether the purchase price plus expected future repairs still makes sense. Often, it does. Do Toyota hybrids have any real weak spots? Yes, every system does. Some common issues include early Prius inverter recalls and head gasket issues on some 1.8-liter Prius engines at higher mileages. There can also be oil consumption if oil changes were struck too far. And, as mentioned, the hybrid cooling fan can get clogged. Finally, the hybrid badge does not stop salt. The body, suspension, and brake lines can still rot in harsh climates. The brutal truth: Toyota reliable does not mean immune to specific design issues. The difference is that with Toyota, the list of known problems is usually shorter, the failures are more predictable, and parts and expertise are widely available. Is Toyota hybrid boring to drive? It depends what you want. If your reference for fun is a manual VTEC Civic at 8,000 RPM, yeah, a Prius is not that. But here's where it gets interesting. Electric torque from the motors can make hybrids feel surprisingly quick off the line. Some Lexus hybrid systems can be seriously fast while remaining smooth and quiet. The instant torque fill can make the engine feel stronger than it is on paper. Where people get bored is the e-CVT drone when accelerating hard and the lack of exhaust noise and engine theater. The brutal truth? Toyota hybrids are tuned for effortless and efficient, not pops and bangs. If your priority is low drama, smoothness, and not spending your life at gas stations, they can actually be very satisfying. If you want theatrics and sound, this is not that lane. Should you buy a Toyota hybrid? Let's make this practical. A Toyota hybrid makes a lot of sense if you do a lot of city or mixed driving, if fuel economy matters to you, and if you plan to keep the car for a long time. A Toyota hybrid is less of a slam dunk if you do mostly highway driving at steady speeds, if you hate the way e-CVTs feel, or if you change cars every few years and won't reap the fuel savings. The brutal truth is this: Toyota hybrids are some of the best engineered, most proven hybrid systems on the planet, but they are still machines. They are not mythical creatures that run forever on vibes and cheap oil. If you understand what they're good at and what can actually go wrong, they can be one of the smartest buys in the entire used car market. If you treat Toyota hybrid like a magic phrase that means zero risk, you're setting yourself up to be surprised. If this helped clear up some of the myths, if you're now thinking about battery life, cooling, and real-world usage instead of just Prius good, hybrid bad, you're exactly who this channel is for. Most people either worship Toyota hybrids or trash them. Very few actually understand them. Here, we don't do fanboy, we do facts. Which generations to buy and which to avoid, how to check the health of a used hybrid before you buy, and what maintenance actually matters. If you're not subscribed yet, you're walking onto dealer lots without the full picture. Hit subscribe now so the next time you're looking at a Toyota or Lexus hybrid, you'll know exactly what you're getting into, and whether it's a quiet legend or a future headache. I'm GearHead. Every car has a story, and together, we're going to decode them all before they cost you money.